Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Marketing with Delight podcast. I'm your host, Delight Howley, and I'm here today with Cory Zacker. She is a business consultant and positive psychology coach. So we're going to be talking about how to get your mindset in order to organize your business, systems, hiring, and how to get your mindset in the right place to allow it to be easier for yourself. Is that right? Did I sum it up correctly?
You did. You summed it up perfectly, Delight. Thanks for having me here.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about you and your background and how you got to where you are now of doing this work with business consulting.
Yeah, I am a business consultant and a positive psychology coach. The two go very much hand in hand. I live in Los Angeles, and all the rumors about our traffic here are absolutely true. I worked in a corporate job, and I commuted over 3 hours a day in Los Angeles traffic to get there and back. And I loved my job. I loved the people. I loved our mission, but it was a very work-intensive job, plus the commute. I was completely burnt out. I spent 4 years doing that. So I left it in 2018 to start my own business, business management and consulting. And funny thing is, I was working from home and almost immediately fell into a very similar habit that I'd been doing before, which was, hey, I'm a great multitasker, so I'm going to do everything myself. And I thought, I'm going to leave the corporate world and I'll just have this kind of leisurely business that I create. But I immediately fell into the trap of I have to do everything. So I recognized it this time, thankfully. I was getting really close to burnout and then decided to work on it and do something about it and figure out ways that I could get support and I could take care of myself. So that's what I love doing now. I love working. I work primarily with women who own service-based businesses and feel like, hey, I was that A student all through school and I can get everything done and I have kids and I have, I can juggle all the balls in the air. Mm-hmm. And then they end up kind of really trapped and hating their business and feeling burnt out. So I work with them on getting out of that space.
Yeah, I can relate to that. There's so much pressure to do, like, to just do and the hustle culture and all this stuff. And like, because I work on that because I'm pretty much what you described, your ideal client of like, I have a service-based business. I'm moving into doing some more digital products and stuff so I can not totally rely on the service-based model. That's partly for me what I'm doing to like deal with all of those dynamics. Because when you're like a solopreneur and you're providing these services for your clients, that it feels like a hamster wheel sometimes where you just can't like take a break ever.
Absolutely. And you serve everybody else. That's what I did. I put everybody before myself, and I wasn't stopping. I would sit down to start my workday at my kitchen table at 8 or 9 a.m. and then I wouldn't get up till 6 o'clock that evening, because I had to take care of everybody else instead of stopping to take care of myself. We all kind of do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's like part of the culture. It's very natural to kind of be in that space. So what do you think is the first step for someone who's like, yeah, I'm getting kind of close to burnout. I need some kind of support. Like, what do I do now?
That's a really good question. And I like to tell people, you don't have to jump all in. That's suddenly like, I'm going to be getting massages every day and going, and taking naps. And it just seems a little overwhelming and too much at first. So I always recommend doing it in small chunks. And what I did for myself was, first I said, I'm going to put into my calendar breaks throughout the day, little 10-minute or 15-minute breaks. I'm not talking about anything major. And then that was step one, actually putting it into the calendar. And then step two was honoring it, because it's very easy to say, oh, I was supposed to take a 10-minute break there. I'm just going to plow through and continue doing my work for this other client. So I really made the point of, nope, I wrote 10 minutes in my calendar to go outside, get some fresh air, walk the dog. I'm going to do it. So that was step one, was calendaring in some kind of self-care. And it doesn't have to be fancy, expensive self-care. It's literally like get up and have a snack, go outside, stretch your body, take a power nap, whatever that looks like for you. So that was step one for me. And then step two, which was all really important, was getting support from other people in my same position, other women business owners. And so I looked online. There's so many great Facebook groups and masterminds and support you can get out there. It could be free, it could be paid, either way. But to talk to other women who are in the same situation and support each other, that was another super important step.
Yeah, those seem like manageable steps that you could take when you already feel like you have too much going on,
Yes.
Like, and because that's the thing, I guess what I want to ask about then, like, I'm glad you gave these steps early on that can be pretty much free depending on how you do it, unless you join like a fancy mastermind or something.
Sure.
But because I think there's a struggle that I found for myself of like, and it's partly a mindset thing, but it's partly like just the cash flow situation. Because it seems like whenever I hear like, oh, get support, I think, okay, I have to hire a team member or something. Mm-hmm. And then that's like, try to figure that out to make the money part work so you can pay that person and still have enough for you and still like, do everything you need to do. Or like you said, the other thing that comes to mind is getting massages every week or something, which also is a pretty, so I think that's almost like a block in my mind, or like a resistance, is thinking like, oh, if I'm going to do this, I have to spend all this money.
It's true. And I totally get it. And it is a mindset thing. And I have a story to tell you based on that.
Okay.
Well, two different things, actually. One is a client of mine that I did consulting with, comes immediately to mind. And she came to me, her business was doing very well, but she was doing everything and she was completely burnt out and ready to burn it down. We worked together. We figured out what she could take off her plate, what she could delegate, who she needed to hire to give her some help. And she got in the right mindset to say, like, you know what, I do need a team member. And she invested, I'll give you the numbers. She invested $1,000 a month to hire a project manager. But, and this is no lie, I was working with her at the time. Within 3 to 4 weeks, that project manager helped her free up so much space in her calendar to actually nurture her leads and become creative on what her offers were and take care of herself, that she signed a new client that was a $5,000 a month client. And if she didn't have that project manager that she invested in, she wouldn't have had the bandwidth to be able to take on that new client. So it might be scary at first. So that's one example, but I don't want to scare people by saying you have to spend $1,000 a month to get it. Another example is for a lot of business owners, having a virtual assistant. You hear that thrown around a lot. It doesn't have to be that expensive. And I'm not talking about hiring like a $4 an hour virtual assistant. You could hire a virtual assistant that's $20, $25 an hour and have him or her work for you 2 hours a week. So what is that? $200 a month. And it can make a huge difference in your business life and your personal life, just to take a few things off your plate, maybe, doing your billing or posting on social media for you or whatever it is you need. So it doesn't always have to be a big, scary number is my point.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good things to hear, I think, for me and probably other people, of like, how do you, because it felt to me like, and I did bring on my first team member last year, and now she's a little busier, so I'm back to solopreneur at the moment, but she's kind of there if potentially, the future. But it was like that. It was kind of like a leap of faith,
Right.
And
sure.
it was hard to like wrap my mind around it. And then things change, and I'm back to like, what am I doing?
Yeah. And it can change. That's okay. But what I what I always try to remind the people that I work with is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. You don't have to be doing everything yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you free up space to kind of, give yourself time to really do the fun parts of your business, the things that you love, and also give yourself time just to be with your family, with your friends, just to kind of renew and recharge yourself, your business will be the better for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I always ask that question at the end of the podcast about the reclaimed guilty pleasure, because that is part of this, I think, of the, the mindset part, and then the anti-burnout part. You have to, it can't be work, work, work all the time. You have to do something that you really enjoy and love, on your leisure time or your time, and you have to have time off,
Yes,
and space for those things.
Yes. And sometimes the homework I'll give to my clients is, it'll be tiny. It will be, I want you to take a walk around the block tomorrow, and that's it. That's your homework. Step away from the desk and do that. And then a bigger picture one might be, I've worked with people who haven't had a vacation in years, just like, okay, let's look 6 months, 8 months, a year into your calendar, block out a week. What do you love to do? Where do you want to go? I mean, COVID obviously put a wrench in a lot of that, but there's still things that you can do. And sometimes you have to make it your homework to take care of yourself.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
And I'm saying that to myself right now, because as much as I preach it, I have, I live it, but there are still times where I forget to take care of myself. So
yeah, right. I mean, because it's like I was saying earlier, it's so ingrained in all of us. So
sure.
Can you tell us about that exercise that you do, the yay, nay giveaway with your clients?
I love doing that with clients. It's very simple. Anybody can do it. You need a piece of paper or a document on your computer, whichever you prefer. You make 3 columns. In the first column, that's your yay column. I want you to write down all the things that light you up, whether it's in your business or your personal life. So for a lot of people, it's, doing exactly why they started their business. It's doing the thing that they love. So the nay list is the opposite, things that drain you, that take away your energy. You might be good at them, but and for that, what comes to mind for me personally, it was doing invoicing and billing and things like that. I couldn't take it. So you have your yay list, your nay list, and then the giveaway list. You just look at what's listed on your nay list and figure out, what can I delegate or what can I give away? Whether it's hiring somebody to do your billing for you, or bartering with a friend, or whatever it is. And so that's a quick, easy way to take things off your plate, just get some clarity on, like, even if it's just 1 or 2 things, to add more time to your day, add more time to be with your family, work on your business, however you want to use it. A lot of times people come to me and they say, well, I know I should delegate or be doing some things, but I have no idea what to take off my plate. It's too overwhelming. So this exercise is a simple way to kind of get through that.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you could identify, like, on your nay list, like, what is the thing that I hate the most on this list, or like that really like drains me, and how could I get help with it,
Yeah.
That would be good clarity for sure. And then sometimes I like that's nice, because if you're kind of looking at it and you're like, I really don't like doing this thing, but I don't know how I'm going to get help with it. But if you kind of like set your mind to it and let your subconscious work on it, like, a lot of times a solution will come up if you realize, like, this is what I need. I don't know how to get it, but I'm going to, like, look for ideas, or, follow my intuition until something comes up.
Right.
I think that's very useful. Yeah. That's kind of how it works for me usually.
I had a colleague once tell me about something she called, and I don't think she termed the phrase, but taking a clarity break. And that's what that sounds like. Mm-hmm. Like, you literally schedule, whether it's 20 minutes or an hour, to just go somewhere with a notebook and a pen and just let the creative juices flow. Just write down your thoughts and think about. That's a great way to kind of come up with new ideas for your business and for how you want to structure your life too.
Yeah. So can we talk about for you in your business? I'd like to know about your marketing for your own growth and clients. Like, what are you doing now that's working for you?
You know what? I always come back to creating relationships. So, I'm on social media and am always posting and talking about how I can work and how I can help you. But the thing that converts the best for me is really getting to know people and having, with the beauty of Zoom, you can have a virtual coffee chat and just talk to anybody and kind of figuring out how can we support each other. And maybe that person becomes a client for you or has become for me. That has happened to me, or they can refer somebody to me. I also always keep in touch with, I've been in the workforce for a long time. So I keep in touch with previous colleagues, clients, people I've worked with, just touching base. How are you? I know your child just graduated high school. How's that going? Oh my gosh, all that. Just I really consider a lot of the people that I work with friends because it's just people that I've created a relationship with over the years. So that's always super important to remember.
Yeah.
That has always worked for me. It's something I always go back to.
Yeah, that's pretty basic. And
Right?
it's timeless, I think, for
Yeah.
sure. Do you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert?
Yeah, what do they call it? Ambivert for
Yeah.
sure. I can get out there and I love, one of my core values is fun. I try to have a great sense of humor. That's how I grew up. So I can be out there and funny and talking to people, but I definitely need that solitude too, that recharging time.
Yeah, because the kind of what you're saying about doing like virtual coffees and things like that, I don't know. For me right now in this season, I'm like, oh gosh, that sounds like draining to me. So
Torture.
maybe for me personally, that wouldn't be. Sometimes I like doing those, but not a lot.
Oh, I get it.
Occasionally.
I get
Yeah.
it. Then, and that brings to mind another way to do it without having to have a coffee chat. And I know they can get super crowded these days, but I've also had success in Facebook groups where I just engage with other mostly women business owners and just offer some value and say, oh, here's what I did, or I'll share the yay nay giveaway idea. Just kind of creating relationships that way, that way you don't have to necessarily sit down for 20 minutes on a Zoom with them if that doesn't light you up.
Right. Yeah. That's actually more the kinds of things that I've done for networking is Facebook groups. But I haven't posted in a Facebook group for a few weeks now. You go through seasons, but
Sure.
I've struggled. I was posting very consistently all spring, and I almost felt like I was shadow banned on Facebook or something because I
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't getting the engagement on anything in any groups at all. And I was like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Is this the algorithm? What am I doing? Like, so I was like, let me just take a little break here because I'm getting frustrated. But I just got a new client this month from somebody who I made a relationship with in a Facebook group years ago, so
Mm-hmm.
those things still apply, even though I feel like no one's seeing my stuff lately, but I still have people that I connected with that way. So I think Facebook
Sure.
groups for me have been a good route to go.
Yeah. And I think also, honestly, 2022 has been a very strange year. I've, talking with a lot of other business providers, examples like you just said, I've heard that a lot. Like the things that were working before aren't working now. So that's why I always go back to the coffee chats and to relationships and just, or if not a coffee chat, just an email, a connection with somebody that I've known. Um, because yeah, the algorithms and everything are just, we're at their mercy,
Yeah.
especially this year.
Yeah, that's interesting. So can you give any more specific examples of what you've heard people saying about things changing this year? Because I feel that for sure. Like in a
Yes.
lot of ways, things are different lately than they were
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I know a lot of people that often had easy success on Instagram, just converting in their DMs, and that's not happening nearly as much anymore. They would sell their group programs out using Instagram, and now they're getting many fewer people signing up. Everyone's trying to figure it out. Is it the post-COVID, like, okay, now what do? We spent all our stimulus money. So everybody's kind of sitting back and waiting to see what everybody else is going to do. So, I mean, my advice is just keep at it. I think we're in a weird year, in a weird lull, and the online space especially is pretty saturated. But just, I would recommend keeping your connections going. And I personally am going to be working more on building an email list and just connecting with people that way. I know some people say, oh, if I get another email in my inbox, I'm going to scream. But the conversion numbers that I've seen other people talk about seem to be a bit better lately in email lists. So
yeah, that's why I always talk about that too. I'm definitely a believer in that. That can help with all these things we're talking about with algorithms and like trends changing. And I've heard the same kinds of things about Instagram quite a bit. Instagram was something where I showed up, but I wasn't like selling out stuff. It wasn't like my huge, so the Facebook group was more where I was getting more connections. And yeah, I think TikTok is a big part of it, but who knows what all else. I mean, all these algorithms change and stuff. And
right.
So yeah, it is really useful to build the email list for that reason, because you're like, but still, then you're still at the mercy of like Gmail can change, like
right.
They did this several years ago where they made the tabs. You've got the primary, the social, and the promotions.
And it
all
goes
your
into
stuff
the
started going to
promotions. I know.
And stuff. So you don't have total control over things, but still, like, I think, let's see if I can get the numbers right. So typically, if you have, let's say you have 1,000 followers on Instagram, 3 to 6% of those people could see your post, let alone like read it or engage with it, versus if you have 1,000 people on your email list, it's typically 20% or more. As long as you're writing a decent subject line and you're like, doing right. it on email, it's like more like 20% and above that will open it at least and read it and potentially click something. Like, I mean, 3% versus 20%, like that's a huge difference in the people you're reaching. It doesn't seem like it because it's not as public. You don't see the engagement versus a video with 1,000 views or something. You don't see the open rates for other people that aren't in your business. But so that's why I'm always talking about that too, about list building, and how I think that's a really good way to try to combat all the algorithms and stuff.
Yeah. And actually the last thing I purchased, which was a fairly low ticket item, but it was via email. It was someone who I was on her list, and she writes great emails and, makes some great business tools. So yeah. And then tune in 6 months from now and we can talk about what the next trend is.
Right. Yeah, I know. So do you have a lead magnet, like a free lead magnet to build your email list?
I do.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Sure. It's a guide that I created, and it's called Crazy to Calm. And it's how to get out of the overwhelm in your business and your life. And it contains a lot of great tips and tools, and the yay nay giveaway exercises in there, and a lot of other things to kind of get you to a place of calm. And calm is an acronym. Actually, it stands for clarity, action, leverage, and mindset. So it's just these 4 steps to go through to get you to a little bit of a better place in your business and your personal life. So yeah, anybody can reach out to me. I'm on CoryZacker.com is my website, or Cory Zacker Consulting on the famous Instagram that we were just talking about, or I'm on LinkedIn.
I was wondering about that with LinkedIn, when you said that you were keeping in touch with your, your previous colleagues and stuff from corporate. Is that something you're using with LinkedIn for?
Yes, I either use LinkedIn for that, or I keep their email addresses current, and I'll just reach out to them directly on email. But yeah, so anyone can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll send you the link to the Crazy to Calm guide.
Yeah, make sure you send that. I don't think I have that in my notes, so send that over so I can put it in the
Sure.
show notes
Absolutely.
for people if they're needing this calmness. They're like, yes, this is something I need.
Yes, don't we all?
So tell me about the reclaimed guilty pleasure. What's something that you just love doing that you once felt like you shouldn't do? Or
yeah, and I almost feel when I say it out loud, it sounds crazy because it's spending time with my son. He's 23 years old now, so he's not, he's on his own. But being able to not feel guilty about him coming over in the middle of the day and we watch The Walking Dead, because that's the show we've been watching since he was, 11 or 12 years old, and it's our guilty pleasure. But I would never do that before. I would just, like I said, head down, grinding, working all day. But to be able to be like, no, I want to spend time with the most important person in my world and not feel guilty about it, and not feel like, oh, I missed an hour of work. That was a mindset shift that I had to get into. So
I'm sure coming from corporate where you're so like, I'm working from morning till at night, and to take a break like that. So that's interesting, because it sounds like more of the guilty part is this in the middle of the day part versus like spending time with your son. But I can see why, it would be worth it to take a break from your day so that you can do these things together that you enjoy. And
watch zombies.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I feel like for me, like I do feel guilty sometimes too, and I do things like that. And I'm not like working all day, even though I haven't had a regular job in 7 years, but I still feel that sometimes too. But then I remind myself, like, why am I doing this? I could just have a job where I would sit at my desk all day, or like even a remote job working from home, sit at my desk all day and like need to be available for whatever. But I don't, because I want that flexibility. So why can't I take my hour and watch a show? And why do I have to feel bad about it?
Right. You don't. And that's just a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah. And it feels like it's one of those things that keeps, for me, it keeps like cycling back. Like I kind of, I don't know, it's one of those recurring themes of mindset stuff where it's like, I get better. And then, I don't know, something happens or shifts and I'm back in it again, like feeling guilty because I'm doing X, Y, and Z during the day, or, whatever it is. There's always these things, or like, oh, I'm not doing enough Instagram. I'm not doing, and it just,
we all do that. We all do that. That's why, I work on mindset a lot with clients, but I remind them it's constant work. And I don't want that to sound overwhelming or hard, but you kind of have to check in with yourself daily.
Yeah.
To keep it going.
Actually, I was thinking of this recently when I first started doing yoga right out of college, like 2004. I never forget this teacher. I don't remember her name, but I'll never forget her saying how she was giving this metaphor compared to like stretching out your neck or shoulders. She was saying it's like cleaning the kitchen counter. Like it's a constant thing. You just have to do it. To have a clean kitchen counter, you have to do it pretty much every day, even maybe twice a day, depending on how much you're in the kitchen, And I was like, that was like so freeing to me. I was like, oh yeah, I am doing this, every day forever, probably, like,
right. I love that. And that reminds me, my kitchen counter needs cleaning.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing.
But it's true. That is
there's coffee grounds sprinkled around, and like, like a little blob of sriracha from my husband making dinner. And it's like, and that's the thing I like about it too, is that it's not always clean. It's usually not clean, and it's okay. Like we're functioning. No one's dying of food poisoning. Nothing bad is happening, and the kitchen counter is not pristine. Because I tend to get in some of the times in those perfectionist types of mindsets. So that's a whole other piece of the mindset stuff.
That's rough. That's putting way too many burdens on yourself.
Yeah. So anything else for us? I feel like this was a quick but good conversation. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
I like what we talked mostly about. There are no real emergencies in your business. I always try to remember that too. It's like the world is not going to end if you don't get something done immediately, or just the reminder to as much as you take care of others, to turn that on yourself, to really take care of yourself too, in a variety of ways, whether that's like we talked about, simple things like taking a walk or taking a quick nap or watching a TV show with your son, or, bigger things like planning a vacation or getting a massage or whatever it is, to enjoy this experience at its highest level. We really need to take care of ourselves. So that's my reminder for me and for everybody out there too.
I love that. Thank you for that. I felt like my body relax a little bit as you said that. I felt like I had this tension in my diaphragm and my stomach, because later today I'm getting this new client started with ads and stuff, and I have my checklist, and there's all these things I haven't done yet, and I wanted to start tomorrow, and I'm like, and that is like no, you're right, it's not an emergency. Like if I have to start the next day, it'll be okay.
Right, it always is.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. We'll link everything in the show notes. And is Instagram the best place for you to connect?
Yeah, I'm there a lot. I'm Cory Zacker Consulting, or LinkedIn, Cory Zacker. Easy Perfect. To find, just my name.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Delight.